but it's being used universal. I don't know what industry isn't going to use it, because
Hmm.
it's going to go back to efficiency. And I think
Yeah,
that's the time
unfortunately.
that's the time that we live in now, where
Yeah.
everything happens so quickly that you just have to be the first one to be informed, or
Hmm.
to know what's going on. And so yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's I really do think it's the future. Do I really see it taking jobs? Possibly.
Hmm.
But I think it
That was gonna
also,
be that was gonna be my next question. Is just that's I feel like that is the conversation that people have. Is you know yes, efficiency, productivity, like
yep,
all of
yep,
these types of things, just to I think I mean, it just all comes down to money. But
yeah.
um, is it gonna replace people? What is it gonna do to people overall?
Mm.
Look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you in for, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Walking Girl Show, everyone. It's Ronnie and Courtney on the mic. And I just want to reflect really quickly, because the last episode was something that we never did before. And in fact, it was a lot different than I think we've ever did in the past. Very different. I mean, the verbiage, the language didn't really bother me, but if it bothered you, apologize, guys. Let us know, and we'll cut back on it next time. But if it didn't, and you guys were able to get a lot of laughs out of it, that's exactly what the whole intention was for it, is to make sure that we can give you guys a little bit of entertainment. Because again, sometimes we could be so serious, but again, it's sometimes at the same time everyone needs to relax, sit back, kind of enjoy, put your feet up for a minute. And I hope that episode did that entirely. And if it didn't, then I guess we got another one coming for you, right?
Yeah, we just wanted to, like he said, we just wanted to have a good time, and everything is not going to be for everyone. So
Yeah, true.
mixing up the content, mixing up like the type
Yeah.
of people that we have and what their professions are and what their outlooks are, and I think I alluded to it last time where it's kind of like we still do a good job of bringing it back to like the personal growth
Mm-hmm.
piece, and somehow we I don't even think we really direct the conversation there. I think it just kind of tends to go
Happens.
there because we're all human and
Yeah.
experience our own stuff. But yeah, just keeping it, have a variety of different people and different topics. And yeah, we just wanted to keep it fun and light. And I think we did.
Yeah. There's actually, I'm gonna go right into it, but there's this podcast I was listening to, and at the end of his episodes, it's the Diary of the CEO. So at the end of his episodes, he has his guests leave a question for the next guest. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember word for word, but essentially it was like the question that the guest left for the next guest was, I want you to answer this question honestly, because a lot of people don't. And the question literally was like, how are you? So, how are you, Courtney? How's your heart? I really want to just say that because again, it's no one ever really tells you the truth of how people are really doing, and I just kind of want
Yeah.
to throw that out there.
Um. Okay. I didn't expect that to be what the question was. I thought it was going to be something different. I thought we were going to skip this part today. Um.
We can, but no,
I
we're already here.
No, it's okay. No, okay, since I'm supposed to answer the question honestly. Um I feel like I went to bed feeling a little bit anxious yesterday.
Hmm.
And a lot of times anytime my brain starts to kind of wander and I can tell it's a lot of just like questioning certain things, I'm like, what is this? What time of the month is it? Like, I go all over the place, just like, what could this be? And where is this coming from? Because it doesn't happen to me very often. But I definitely feel like I was pretty anxious yesterday. And when I'm anxious, I get frustrated,
Yeah.
so just a lot of different emotions come into play, and I also notice, and this it's just things that I notice from patterns. When I go to bed anxious, I typically wake up in a bad mood. So this
Yeah.
morning, I
Yeah. Me
told you I
too.
snoozed repeatedly, and I love recording. I love the days that we get to record, and Fridays are my work from home days. So there's nothing wrong about today in particular. It's just
It's
when I
just
go to
one of
bed
those
with
days.
these thoughts and these questions in my head, I just wake up like,
Yeah.
now I have to wake up and think about it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of where I'm at. It's one of those things that's like, it's going to be fine. It's just, I'm aware that it's just anxiety and it's just those kind of questions that spiral. And then a couple days will go by and it'll be gone and it'll be fine.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm just kind of in the middle of it right now.
Gotcha.
But
Hmm.
yeah.
I
What
don't really
about
have
you?
too much. Me, I'm doing all right. I wouldn't say I'm excited because basketball season has began, and I get
Hmm.
to I get to watch that all day, all night. Not literally all day, all night, but you guys get what I'm saying. But excited, but at the same time, still kind of like just a lot of question marks over my head. I remember, I think it's previous episodes I mentioned this. It's still there, and I'm just trying to navigate, trying to figure out again. Without seeing the finish line or without seeing what's ahead, it's so hard to make decisions in the right now in the moment. So I like to give things time. And so me giving things time is that's why I'm like still kind of like confused, still trying to navigate what lane do we really go and travel into, without wasting time because I know I don't want to waste any time. You guys know how valuable I
Hmm.
like to treat time, so
Ronnie's not a time waster, that's for sure.
so that's definitely is I would say just more confused. I'm not angry, not I don't really get too much anxiety, especially if when decisions have to be made. Like just the other couple weeks ago. Oh my gosh, this is a story, guys. Whoa, I don't want to get into this, but I think I should just because I want to put things in perspective of how is it that I don't let things kind of get over myself. But I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I'm driving home and I had a light on my dashboard on my car flashing. It was for those that are into cars and know what's going on with cars. It was my coolant light that was flashing, and I'm like, "What the heck is going on? I just checked you the other day, and you were filled. You were
Just
just fine."
checking.
And so I pull over, and sure enough, it was low. And I was like, "Okay, well, just add some more fluid in it, and I'll go about my merry day and get home and be all about my business."
Mhm.
Crack my car back on. I start driving. The light comes back on flashing. I was like, oh shit, something's wrong. Because for you to come back on, I already knew. So I pulled over, and sure enough, I mean, at that point, what was going on with the car? You don't want to drive it home. You can, but you'll be running a massive risk. And do I really want to bring a new car now? Absolutely not. So at that point in time, usually what I would do though in those situations, I would get so frustrated, I'd be angry. I'd be like, "Why me? What the heck, man? You guys yada yada yada." That was me maybe 2 years ago, but now I was just
Mhm.
like, I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to deal with it. I mean, it is what it is. And I
Mhm.
honestly, I chuckled and said, "There's something better near, closer. I'm getting closer to it because typically how I look at things is when things are bad." Around the corner something great is going to happen, and immediately that's kind of what I told myself. It's like, well, it's here, you got to deal with it, you got to navigate through the situation, but just know something great is on the horizon, so keep trucking
Mhm.
it through. And so that's why I keep saying, like, just the question marks of which lane do we really go in. But enough of, I don't know if you want to say anything on that, but
Yeah. No, no, I was just gonna say that like I definitely get into that headspace sometimes of like I think the question that comes up for me, the little like frustrating the ones that kind of like nag at me are like things that should be so easy end up
yeah.
being difficult or like taking way more time than I expect. And then that's how I'm late to things is like I always just expect things to just be simple, like getting
Yeah.
ready in the morning or whatever. I'm like everything just ends up being so much more difficult than I expect it to be. And so just things like that's kind of the thought that repeats for me and it's not that big of a deal. You
Yeah.
know, it's just when they pile on, that's when, and I hate being late, but I'm chronically late. Just things like that. So it's like, how does this happen? And I know how it happens. So yeah, it's just again, like we said, that like mental cycle and having to find what works for you in terms of getting out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, it's just as soon as I get to my destination or as soon as I start the day or start the whatever activity it is, I'm always fine,
Yeah,
you know? So
always.
just knowing, like I said, just knowing it's like it's gonna be fine. It's just frustrating right now.
Exactly.
That's
I
all it
mean,
is. Just knowing that nothing's permanent in those like anxious or frustrating moments.
yeah, and the story gets worse. I could go on, but I'm not going to do that today because
Okay.
it's obviously there was an issue, and the issue had to get fixed. So that was a whole
Yeah.
nother thing I had to work through. But
Mhm.
man, this is the tool of the month episode. I know it took us quite some time to get into it, but one thing that we always do talk about is growth here and how to make sure that you guys are continuously helping yourself, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever the case may be. But today we're going to allow it to be all not really mindset, but I would say educational based, I could say, because it all depends on how you really use it is what is going to be how it's going to be beneficial to you. Courtney hates when I always bring it up, and I like, hey, I like efficiency. I like to not waste my time doing things that I know somebody else can do for me. So
Mhm.
this is where what we're going to talk about is artificial intelligence, or as you could call it, AI, the new talk of the town. And this AI is just essentially going to help you stay on top of that curve, right? Wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing. And there's so many different ways to go about it. I know, Courtney, you're not a big fan of it just quite yet. Maybe by the end of this episode, I can get you to start using it a little bit more.
Mhm.
But I'm curious to know, why haven't you not even looked into it, but just really kind of used it, I guess?
So first of all, I don't hate it. I don't hate when you talk about it, but
You give me an eye roll,
I
which means you hate it.
but no. I think what happens is I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, this was so cool. How did you do that?" And you're like, "I didn't do it. Like AI did
Oh
it."
my
And I'm
goodness.
like,
Well, I
that's what's funny."
did
And then,
part of it because I had to give the prompt to AI to do it. So
well, you and the other, and I think of Reggie when we talk about
Yeah.
this because I did the same thing. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you put this together," and he's like, "No, it was this," and I was like, "Oh my god, Ronnie, like both of you, like you're the same person." But yeah, no, that's the only reason I roll my eyes is because I always like it'll be me complimenting you or be like
Yeah, yeah.
me being impressed with something that you did or something creative, and you're like, "Yeah, no, I didn't. That wasn't me." But so I think that's
It's so
funny, but.
beautiful.
I think I think for me, it's just it's funny because I'm fine with change.
Mm,
Like, I'm fine with change. I'm a therapist, so we constantly have to be trying new things, you know what I mean? Like modalities, and every person is going to be different, so you have to be adaptable and things like that. So,
yeah.
I don't think I have a problem with change, but I definitely am the type of person that if something works, well, I'm not going to use anything else. Like, I'm not going to go searching for other things if I feel like I'm good with where I'm at. So you using this tool, I'm like, I just don't. I have yet to find, and I'm sure there might be places in my life that it could be super helpful, but for now, I feel like I'm good. So why seek out other things? That's just kind of where I'm at. And like you said, it could be the end of the episode. It might just be that I need more education on it, but there's just, that's just the type of person where I am, and I am person that I am. I was even telling somebody, I know this is different, but I'm the type of person, you go to a restaurant, I know what I want, and that's what I'm getting.
Hmm.
I don't try different things. If I know something works for me, that's what I'm using. So we'll see if I get enough education and I feel comfortable with it. Maybe this will be like my tool of the month episode that I just get to learn from and take from, but we'll see.
So you don't see any way that AI can help you with your daily life? Is that what
I
you're?
just don't know it yet. Like I don't even know. I know what AI is, but I don't in terms of the tool itself
Okay.
or like what it, you know what I mean? Like how I can implement it into my stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, especially for like my job is not gonna
Um.
I can't
Uh,
see the client part, like the facing, client facing work. I don't
yeah.
see that, being a part of my profession, but I do so much stuff outside of work. I could see that. But yeah, until I know exactly where it fits, I don't feel the need
So,
or
uh,
where I could try it.
let's talk about ChatGPT. Of course, the one that started this whole, I think, shebang. I believe it's about a year now since it really came out, and it's been, topic of conversation everywhere. So you say that you don't really see how it could benefit you with your client facing, and I want to challenge that
Hmm.
because I think chat can, and I call it chatty. So if I ever say chatty, just know I'm referencing Chat GPT, guys. Um, I think it can help you create questions for your client facing
Hmm.
opportunities that you have, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah, sometimes, of course, all of those things are going to change. But I think some questions, it's just like, all right, well, if somebody's not, obviously, you shouldn't be doing this during your meetings
What do I do with this
with this
client?
person. But, like, let's just say someone is going through, I mean, you went through it today. I think you said last night.
Anxiety. Yeah.
Yeah, anxiety. So it's like you could go to chat and say, "Hey, I'm going through anxiety right now. What are some coping methods to dealing
Hmm.
with this?" Right, and then you're gonna have. I mean, I don't know what that's gonna look like, but you're gonna have a ton of different things that you could go ahead and that is going to feed back to you and just give to you.
Mhm.
However, it doesn't work on a personal basis. Like, it doesn't know you
Yeah.
personally, so it's going to be extremely broad and just not biased to who
Mhm.
you are. So obviously take that into consideration as well. But that's an easy way. That's an easy way
Mhm.
you can use it in your daily life. Me personally, I use it, man, for practically anything and everything you can think of. If I
Mhm.
mainly use it, I will say to be creative though. So if I need, if I'm being lazy, honestly, I'll say this. If I'm being lazy, I need to write an email. Yeah, sure enough, I'm just gonna go to chat, just
Mhm.
give it a nice little prompt, and say, "Hey, I
Mhm.
need to write a professional email to this person that I want to network with for real estate purposes, and because of that, I need to get in touch with this person. Can you write me an email?" And I'll get this
Mhm.
nice email, and I'll scrub through it and make sure to take it all out, the things that I don't need. But it's a tool that I think everyone should really look at. Don't sleep on it, because if you do sleep on it, you'll just be, in my personal opinion, you'll be behind the curve,
Mhm.
because it's the new day and age. I mean, all of the kids coming after us, this is what they're gonna know. This is their new
Mhm.
reality.
So
Sucks,
now, if anybody
sucks.
receives a nice personalized message from Ronnie, just know it probably was
Mm,
not
don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
All of our walk and grow emails are just chat GPT emails.
Could be.
No, I'm just kidding.
It could
But
be.
so I'm gonna ask all the questions that I know. I mean, for example, my
Sure.
parents listen to this and they for sure know. I don't think they've even heard of this. I don't know. Maybe they'll surprise me, mom. I don't know. But
If your mom
um,
uses it and you don't use
there's
it,
no way.
I think
There's
I'm gonna
no
have to
way.
substitute and get your mom back on. I'm gonna have to get your
I'm
mom on this and substitute you out for the time being.
Okay, so there's no way either of those things will happen. I've already told her I want her on this, and she's like, I don't know. But anyway, there's no way she uses this. But so my question is this like a website? Is this an app? Is it
Yeah.
both? How do you find it?
So I don't know if it's an app. I should have looked into that before. I'm pretty sure it is. I don't use the app version of it. I just use um the web version of it. And if I go to actually, because it's not called actually ChatGPT, it's called something else. Chat.openai.com. That is essentially the website that you could use. Go ahead and just sign up for it. Do whatever you got to do to get credentials to it. But that's all
Mhm.
it is. You just once you get it, it's just gonna be a blank canvas, and you're just like, okay, what do you do next? And it's all about the prompting. So if you truly indeed have something that you're trying to work through right now, um, just just ask a question. Whatever the question may be, it's like, hey, give me another podcast to listen to that's very similar to Walk and Grow, right? And see what
Mhm.
it says. It may or may not give you anything. I don't know if it's gonna have that type of information, given that we started this about 2 years ago. So it may not have it, because if I'm not mistaken, the information that it has is up until 2021. So anything after that, then it's not going to really be beneficial on. If you want to know what's going on in the world today, there's another tool for that. But we'll talk about ChatGPT for now.
Mhm.
But whatever you're going through, whatever you need guidance or you need another thought on or another perspective, see what Chat gives you and run from it. Run with what it says and maybe go challenge it even some more. But I will say the one thing I've really learned a lot is, even though you ask one question, and don't be afraid to ask another question, like a follow up on that, because
Follow up.
then
Yeah.
it gets really detailed. It really helps you. Leon actually, he we were having a conversation, and he did this entire marketing. He created an entire marketing plan with just chat and just the knowledge that he already has, and just implementing it, asking the right questions, doing the follow up, and I think he has a great idea to run with. It's just a matter of now executing it.
Mhm. And do you feel like when you find things or when it generates things for you, you have to end up personalizing it to what you're actually looking for? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Sometimes,
Or you
most of
can,
the times, because again, it's
it's
not
very
gonna say it in,
generalized.
yeah, it's not gonna say it in my tone. It's not gonna know how I like to
Hmm.
speak. It's not gonna
But even
have,
like that you mentioned, like a marketing plan and things like that, you're going to have to personalize to what you're actually looking for
yeah,
or the
absolutely,
type of marketing that you're doing and things like that.
yeah. You have to essentially guide
I,
it. You have
yeah.
to. Go ahead.
Okay. No, that's, I've never used it. I think you've showed me like one time, and that was maybe the first time I was on as a guest. That might have been the first, or maybe the second time. But anyway, I remember you showing me one time, so that's the only time I've ever even seen what it looks like. I'm trying to like picture it in my head, um, which I'm sure we can include for on Instagram and things like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, what are your thoughts on just kind of AI in general and
Oh
people
man,
talking
it's the
about
future. It's the future. Um, a lot of I know the conversation now, and I when I say it's the future, it's going to really help with time efficiency. And that motorcycle, a lot of them mother lover. That's a Harley. You can
This
tell.
is Mike. This Mike is good. Picks up everything.
But I think it's the future. It's really gonna, like I said, it's really what the kids after us are gonna grow into learning, into using. So I'm even considering, just prepping any child that comes across like, hey, go learn about AI. Just go
Mhm.
put yourself in the books of what it is and how could you even, because as long as you have the knowledge, then you're gonna put yourself ahead of your peers. And
They're gonna
so
be like, "What's a book?" With all this
literally,
stuff,
no.
like.
Well, I don't know if it can summarize books. I don't think. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could probably find a way around it, but at that point, you're kind of like getting into the legal problems that you can get into, which I
Mhm,
don't recommend anyone do. Just because maybe get a summary from a book, sure, but
mhm.
you won't really
I just,
get too much about a book from chat.
yeah, I just mean like if we're talking about future generations,
Well, yeah,
our, you know,
there's a oh
paper
my there's a
books gonna be.
lawsuit. There's a guy who got someone written off. I don't remember the case, I'm glad I don't remember it. Um, there's a lawyer who used an AI form, not ChatGPT. It was some AI form to help his client beat a case. And
Mhm,
so now they're trying to reverse it because it wasn't his doings. It was chat. It
mhm.
was AI. And I'm like, oh, I mean,
Yikes.
if you can't, yes, you could probably have a way of proving it, but at the end of the day, if the judge approved of it, the gavel was bang. What more we need to talk about? Like, come on
That
now.
was that was very specific court language that we just used. Yeah.
But even lawyers
Yeah.
are, I don't know specifically what they're using. Again, I'm glad I don't remember it. And if you
Mhm.
are a lawyer, just look up the case, try to find it, to help you navigate through whatever situation. Just don't
Mhm.
get caught in it, because clearly they
Yeah.
have the ability to reverse it. um,
Mhm.
but it's being used universal. I don't know what industry isn't going to use it, because
Mhm.
it's going to go back to efficiency. And I think
Yeah.
that's the time,
Unfortunately.
that we live in now, where
Yeah.
everything happens so quickly that you just have to be the first one to be informed, or
Mhm.
to know what's going on. And so yeah, I think
Yeah.
I really do think it's the future. Do I really see it taking jobs? Possibly.
Mhm.
But I think it
That was gonna
also,
be that was gonna be my next question. Is just that's I feel like that is the conversation that people have is you know yes, efficiency, productivity, like
yeah,
all of
yeah,
these types of things, just to I think I mean it just all comes down to money, but
yeah.
um is it gonna replace people? What is it gonna do to people overall?
I think it has a possibility, especially the lower end. Like, I mean, we see it in the stores already. There's
Mhm.
barely any cashiers. Like,
Mhm.
that's, I think the low level jobs, I think, are going to be the first ones out. And I think after that, then it's going to take a pause personally. And I'm not no AI expert. This is just my
Mhm.
prediction, this is what I believe. But I don't really see it doing too much damage. If anything, it's going to help, and it's going to force people to be a little bit more versed in what you're doing, because now something else has the ability to do what you do a little bit better,
Yeah.
faster, doesn't complain, doesn't call out, right? So these are the things that we're up against.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
I mean, I know this is not what we're talking about. I know that, but I even see my clients, as we know, I work with teens, so of course, my clients are all over social media and things like that, and I see
yeah.
them come in and they're like, "Oh, I just learned this on TikTok, so I've just been doing this with TikTok,"
Hmm.
and it's a lot of almost correcting the things that they're learning. Where, for example, one thing Adara actually mentions a lot is people talking about like eating disorders on social media,
Yeah.
and then people come in and we have to be like, well, okay, well, let's not take that like 100%
For
how
what
it's
it is,
stated.
yeah.
Let's yeah, exactly. Let's look into it and see how it can actually help you in a healthy way and in a safe way.
Mm-hmm.
So having to take information and then needing a person to be like, yep, okay, that information is good, but how does it actually apply to you and how does it
Mm-hmm.
actually help you? And like we said, in a healthy and a safe way. So the information that they're getting is coming from all over the place.
Yeah.
It's just how to make sure, like we said, how to make sure it's appropriate for them and personalized to them, which
Mm-hmm.
I know is what we've already been talking about, but it's interesting to think of where it can go and what professions it could be useful in and or not, or is it useful everywhere or
Yeah.
just different things
I
like
think the
that.
professions that don't use it, they'll be the first professions to be replaced, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just everyone's going to essentially not have to, but it's going to be something that everyone has access to. And how you decide to use it, that's entirely up to you. And I know one thing that you just mentioned is, just information to staying up to date. So ChatGPT is one tool you can use, but if you want more up to date information, Bard is another one. So it's very similar to ChatGPT where you're entering prompts. However, this is a little bit more up to date with the information because it's essentially backed by Google. So obviously we all Google information. Now it's,
Mm-hmm.
hey, did you Google it? Like, just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Yeah.
now I'm pretty sure it's
Google's
gonna.
like a verb.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's an actual verb. It's not a website anymore.
Yeah, so now I could see a lot of it being, did you go on Bard, right? Did you go see what
Mm-hmm.
Bard had to say about it? So that's where I go to get up to date information. If I
Mm-hmm.
like, for instance, all the things that's going on in the world, if I want something that's more up to date, it's like, hey, what's going on in whatever country at this time? And
Mm-hmm.
I can get a real quick summary without having to know the back. Well, not necessarily having to know, without having the information or the resources to find the history of what
Mm-hmm.
occurred or whatever the case may be. But Bard is another one.
Is
That's
it is it providing you resources or like where it's getting that information from?
it's Google. It's actually like Google is Bard. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, is it providing, so rephrase that question so I can understand it a little bit better, because
So again,
it's
I go to teen brains. So if I'm telling my teens to use a tool,
yeah.
I'm not gonna say Google it and whatever you find on Google is true. You know what I mean? I'm
Okay.
not gonna say so like, oh, just ask Bard and whatever Bard says is completely accurate. You know what I'm saying? And
Well, I don't think
I'm
we
not
should
saying
be.
it's not. I
Yeah, I don't think we should be taking anything as the truth.
just assume people are smart enough to know this may be what's going on and this
Yeah,
is what I
like
got off
this.
the internet.
This is just an.
Yeah.
This is, and this is how I use Chat GPT. This is how I use Bard. I use it as a way to give me more information so that I can find the right information to get me
Mhm.
closer. I don't use it as the
Mhm.
end all do all situation.
Mhm.
Never. And I don't even recommend you listen to my voice and use me as the end all do all, because I don't know half of
Mhm.
the things that's going on in the world, right? So
Mhm.
it's always just adding information to help, and that's where the efficiency part comes into. If you don't know something, we're all gonna Google it, but 9 times out of 10, we're gonna Google it. We're gonna read something, and we're like, okay, that's what it is. Instead, just go to Bard. Bard is gonna give you hopefully all the information where you can read through it entirely and make your own judgment or your own thoughts, opinions on
Yeah.
it in itself.
I think this is a whole other conversation that we could get into, but I think that's part of a big problem is that people will find information and be like, this is right, and this is now what I
Yeah,
believe,
yeah,
and this is now what I'm going to fight for.
yeah,
Like people start to get passionate about it. So just like you said, being able to go into things with an open mind and not
yeah,
being so like, oh, this must be correct because this is what Google said.
yeah. Like
Um,
even
yeah.
Drake, I think it was Drake and The Weeknd's voices were replicated to make a song. And
Mm-hmm.
many people probably be like, "Oh, that's Drake's new song, or that's The
Mm-hmm.
Weeknd's new song." It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, they actually not. It's something that AI
Mm-hmm.
created, and so it's obviously. And I actually have in my notes here. Just be careful the type of information you give it, or even the information that it feeds you, what you feed it,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, it could be used against you to manipulate you at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I won't say
Yeah.
what I really want to say, which is I heard there's like a whole new like scam thing going around, but just know voices can be replicated. So I recommend, just for protection's sake, have like a code name with amongst your family and your people that
Mm-hmm.
that if something were to go down and someone wants to try to do something and hold you for ransom or something, that they have to disclose this. They have to say, what's the secret word? What's you know
Oh my
what's the
god.
what's the secret word? If you can't tell me the secret word, then hey, there's nothing we got to do here. You keep talking your talk. But it could
Our
get
tool of the month might end you in a hostage situation.
it could get scary though. It really can get like
Oh
it's
my gosh.
when you and I say it could get scary because the government doesn't even have a hold of what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
if the people that are literally controlling the world, or at least controlling the U.S., doesn't have control of this thing, I mean,
mm-hmm.
put it in the wrong person's hands. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good
I
luck.
mean, this is for everything though. Any internet, anything is just
True.
be careful what information you're putting out there, and just have, it's all about media literacy. And I remember going into, this was when I was in college, going to school to be a health teacher. And we came in and there was this, website, and it was on Martin Luther King Jr. And all the information was just, just a website that she had on the screen. We're reading it and you're like, I don't remember that.
Mm.
Like, I don't remember anybody saying that about him, or like reading that about him, anything like that. And she's scrolling through and she's teaching this, like, based on this website. And we just go through and she was like, okay, like, did you learn about this today? And we're like, yeah, I guess, whatever. She's like, none of this information's true. And
Oh,
all of you would have just left and like
thought all of this was true.
thought
Huh?
like, oh, I just learned new stuff that I didn't know, right? So you have to be able to, and
Jeez.
she did it on purpose because in like health class we should be able to teach literacy and thinking for yourself and different things like that. How do you ask the right questions when you have a gut feeling? All of us are probably sitting there like, but we're all just kind of like, well,
You
okay,
don't
that's
know
what they're
any
teaching
better.
us. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, oh, this professor who I trust is teaching us this. So being able to ask those questions and being able to look at information and say,
Mm-hmm.
let's look into this. Where, like, what is the source of this? Who created this website? Things like that, rather than just taking, oh, it's on TikTok, so it
Yeah.
must be real, um, and things like that. But so I think any website, any technology that you're using, you should be able to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and just look, like I said, look into it. Are there other sources that back it up? So on and so
Yeah.
forth. But
And there's plenty of other ones that you can go out there to fact check another Bard
mhm,
or Chat GPT. There's another one, Claude. I don't remember exactly. Damn the website specifically, but that's another one. If you want to fact check, if you
mhm,
want to fact check Bard or if you want to fact check ChatGPT, that's another source you can go to. And just like you mentioned, I think it's important just to have these tools because I don't know how many of you guys actually knew about all three of them, but I have an entire folder I can share with you guys of different
mhm,
tools. So whatever issue that, not even issue, whatever you're trying to work through, there is 9 times out of 10 a solution out there that is AI based, and there's a way around it. So I just really want to provide those three resources because again, as you guys know, Courtney isn't using any of them
mhm.
because she is. I'm not gonna say what I want to say, but anywho,
Oh, I would love to hear it. I'm waiting very patiently to hear it.
not today. Maybe on next week's episode.
Oh, oh my gosh! Tune in to hear
She's
what
too
Courtney
good
is.
for us. Is what I really wanted to say.
Oh, that's for sure what it is. That's definitely how I feel. I'm
But
too
no,
good for the future of technology. Yeah. Ay, ay,
but
ay.
no, as you know, it's the tool of the month. Really want to provide you guys with the additional tools that you can use and keep at your repertoire in terms of whatever it is that you're
Mhm,
going through, whatever it is that you are using. If you want to get deeper into it, of course, you can go down the rabbit hole. But before you do that, just reach out to us. We could at least reach out to me. Maybe not Courtney so much just quite
Courtney
yet.
knows nothing. Just reach out to Ronnie.
Reach out to me and say, hey, yeah, you're looking into it. You would want a little bit of guidance on, the best ways to mitigate and just not waste your time like I did, essentially. Waste my time, try to learn something. Um, and yeah, I guess that's really it. Those are the three tools. Any last
I
marks, Courtney?
think just because it's something that I'm learning as well, is maybe, and this is might be creating more work for you, but just showing me how to use it. We can share it as a clip or something, or like the website or whatever, or recording yourself using it, or so on and so forth, and sharing it. And then also, what was I gonna say? Um, even just giving examples of things that you've made from it, if especially if there's anything like walk and grow related that you've put together, or information or your notes that you send me. Not that we have to like share all of our notes, but just sharing some of the things like this. These are some of the things that we've done using these tools. We can put those on the Instagram just to show. And then also, what was I going to say? Another thing. Um, I don't remember the other thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
we can. I was just gonna say, sorry. So we can summarize the just some of the main points that we came up with, kind of summarizing those, and some of the just reminders. Be careful what information you put out there. Be
yeah.
careful of the information that comes back to you. Just kind of summarizing all of those up as well.
Yeah, I'll be more
Just
than
for
happy
the
to share, how is it that I use it, or I'll probably do it for this episode specifically.
yeah.
However, for those that want, like, I guess the tutorial is what you're kind of saying. For those that want it, on our previous reel, just leave in the comments, chat GBT or AI, something that just gives me, the more I get those comments, the more I'll give you guys the tutorials. But until then, I'm not gonna just
Mm.
go.
Ronnie ain't doing nothing for free out here.
Well, no, I'll do it for free. I have no problem doing it, but it's just I don't want to do it, and that's not what you guys need or want or even care
Yeah.
for. So if you guys just leave it in the comments, especially if you're listening to this point, then yeah, just go ahead, leave in a comment, AI or chatty, whatever,
I'm
something
gonna
in the
go
comments,
comment so I can get the tutorial.
so that I can go ahead and I'll go ahead. I'll be more than happy to put something together for you guys so that you guys can maximize and use it to your full capacity, how I'm using it. Uh,
Mhm.
because I'm pretty sure there's very limited people that's using it the way that I'm using
Mhm.
it.
Every
But
day, all the time.
with that being said, keep on applying those perspectives, growth, collaboration, y'all, and education. Yikes.